Hello, welcome to my first long form video on this channel. I've never made a long form video, so things might be choppy, things might not be edited well, sound well, but I'm learning, so bear with me and things will get better as I make more videos. So I have 3 goals for this video. 1, I'm going to be recapping what I did each of the days this week. Technically not this week, days 1 through 10, explain what ideas I have for the coming 10 days or just in the future. Last, explain my code and my process and kind of more in depth on how I do some things making my game. Some of you probably know who I am, but some of you might not. So here's a little introduction on me. I've been making games for a while, since before middle school, so over 5 or 6 years now. I've made a couple different games before. I've made Burger Clicker 1, and then this is Burger Clicker 2. Here's Burger Clicker 1. And a lot of you have probably played that, at least a lot of people watching this right now. But I've made these games for a long time, and that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to college for, and I just make them just because it's fun, and that's what I enjoy. I promised a lot of people that I would finish my Burger Clicker 2 or make a Burger Clicker 3, and I just decided 10 days ago that today was the day, and that I would finally commit and start making my game. There were a lot of different options for me to make my game. I could just straight code it. There's limited options on what I can do. I could use a game engine, which is what I'm doing now, but there were a lot of different options. But I eventually just chose Unity because a lot of the most popular games have been made with Unity because it's simple, but also it can do a lot of different things. I don't really know how to use Unity, so for a lot of things I have a book that I'm reading and referencing back to learn about how to do a bunch of these things, and I'm also just searching the internet, watching YouTube videos, pretty much just learning as I go, honestly. Now I'm going to be just going over, recapping what I did the past 10 days. So for day 1, I have the video on screen now. I started the project. I was working on my laptop from here till like at day 7, I think. But I was working on my laptop. I just created a Unity project and had to figure out how to make the camera I liked. At first I started with just a 2D game, like a 2D template, but it didn't really work out. Like I couldn't get the things I wanted to. I didn't want to have to draw everything myself, so I had to switch it halfway through. I was like an hour into working, switched it to 3D, and that made it a lot easier for adding things. Like I made the cube and the walls you could see here, it's a lot easier. For day 2, I added a stove into my game. I just got this off of just a random website, but I didn't really want to copy anyone, so eventually I removed it. I think it was the next day, but I added that in. It wasn't too hard. On day 3, I removed the previous stove and I made it my own. I added an oven and a fridge, as you could see in the video, and I added the clicking. So I didn't really know how to do this, so I had to look it up, but I made it just when you click the stove or the fridge, it adds a little glow effect to it, just so you know it's clicked. Then I added a like little brown rectangle, which is supposed to be a burger, that follows the mouse around after you click on the fridge. Then on day 4, I made it so if you have the burger, you click the fridge, you have the burger, you can click the stove and it starts cooking the burger. Then I added the start to the money system, so here all it is after the burger's done cooking, after a couple of seconds it just adds 5 to the money variable I have here. On day 5, I added some more gameplay. I added like a table. I added in some buns that you can put I added in some buns you can put the cooked burger on when you're done. I also added a nice little black background, as you can see here. And in this video you can also see once the burger is done cooking, you can click on it and click the table, puts the burger in the buns. On day 6, I made a sort of like serving burgers mechanic. So I duplicated the table, pushed it out to the middle, as you can see here. And then once the burger's done cooking, you put it on the buns, and you can pick that burger up and put it on the table to be served. And it takes away the little UI like request there. I also added a kitchen floor and a bun cabinet, just to make things like a little bit more like a game and not just it's all there for you, it's not just a test anymore. On day 7, I started working on the UI. Well, I added a trash can and started working on the UI. So when you press the key P, it pulls up a phone UI or user interface, whatever you want to call it, and that shows you, or it will show you, the money. It will show you how much stock you have in your inventory, a whole bunch of different things. This is where you'll find all of your data and info about the game. So the time, your inventory, customers, whole bunch of stuff like that. On day 8, I added a better money system instead of just cooking the burgers. So you have to cook the burgers and then serve it to the table. Then after you serve it to the table, it waits about 5 seconds, and then the burger disappears, the burger request pops back up, and your money increases by 5. And then today, I added more UI, more to the money system. I added a shop where you can buy inventory, and when you take things out of the fridge, the burgers out of the fridge, or you take the buns out of the cabinet, the inventory goes down by 1. And yeah, that's all I did for this week. Honestly, I didn't think I'd get anywhere near this far as I did. I thought I'd just have, I don't even know, just maybe a kitchen at this point. It's just crazy how fast I've been working. I don't know when I plan to release this game, but I know I want to have it on Steam for PCs. I'd like for it to be on a web browser, but if I make it paid, I don't know how I can do that. And I would really like it to be on Xbox and PlayStation as well. At least in the early stages of development here, it will only be available on PC. Now I'll be talking about the coding side of it. If this isn't interesting to you, or you just don't want to see it, you can skip ahead. I'll have timestamps down in the description for you, or you can skip ahead or skip back or whatever you want. So I have a couple different scripts here. I pretty much only use these 3. I have the other things for like keeping variables consistent across objects and different stuff like that, but for the most part I only use these 3. I'll go through these one by one. So for camera shift, so we have all the variables up here doing different things. Game object, this is just like an object that, for example, I want to move or something like that. Phone events here, this is just referencing another script. Rect transform, pretty much the same thing as game object. You got 2 different variables here, true and false types. And it's if the screen is moving or if it's moved over. And then we got four different variables here. We got the original position and shifted position of the camera, and then we got the original and shifted position for the UI, because that also needs to be moved over. Here in start, it just declares all the variables and says that the camera needs to start at these coordinates. It would go after it shifts to these coordinates, whatever. In update here, it is checking every frame if the key P is pressed and if the screen is not moving. If it's pressed, the phone function gets called and the update inventory function gets called. I'll get back to this. But for the phone, all this does is it sets the variables, just make sure they're at the right numbers, and then it starts a delay to move the camera smoothly over to show the phone. And then this is just all the equations for it, just to make it more smooth and not just a straight line. It kind of like fades in and out of movement. Next script I got here is a big one. It is the follow icon manager. So this is where the bulk of all the events in my game are. For some reason, I probably will go back and change it sometime, because it is very chaotic just having everything all right here with like pretty much no organization. I have a whole bunch of different game objects. Table inventory, this is just a different script. All the game objects you can see here. The buns, the tables, the ovens, stuff like that. I got some true or false variables. That's the burger's following, or the bun is following the mouse. That's just making it, if it is following, it says true. If it's not following, it's false. Here we got the delay. So after delay seconds, which is 3 here, of the burger being on the stove, it turns the cooking text, like burger is cooking or burger cooking, whatever it is, it turns that off, makes cooking false, burgers on stove 1. So there's 1 burger on the stove. In update, this is where everything is. All of this checks when you click the mouse button what it is actually clicking on. And then here, all here is just if the variable, if for example, if buns is following, then it adds it sets a whole bunch of variables to detect where the mouse is, when it moves, stuff like that. And it makes the position, the local position of whichever item it is, equal to the mouse position. So it just makes it follow the mouse. Here we got the food table script. Here we got more game objects, just setting the things. Then we got the money text, setting the item. Then we got 2 different scripts here. So here we have a delay after 5 seconds of the burger being on the table, increases money by 5, sets the burger request picture right here to true, and then sets the burger you see on the table off. And then here in update, we have if the mouse is clicked, it sees if it's food table, which is the table right here, it just sets the burger request off. It makes the burger UI icon, turns that off, and then starts the delay. Here I have the number store script. All this is, it's super simple. It just keeps the money separate from all the other scripts, how much burgers you have in stock separate, how many buns you have in stock separate. And I have to keep it separate because I have so many different objects in here that all are using the same script. And if they're all using the same script, they don't know which variable is the original one. So this is just makes it consistent for all of them. Here we have phone events. So we have all the object variables. Here we have the inventory button function. So if the phone tab is home, then it sets the inventory and shop buttons off, turns the inventory screen on, and updates the inventory. Shop button, same thing, but for the shop, sets the shop screen to true, updates the inventory. Here we have the update inventory function. This was in a couple of the other scripts. And what it does is it sets the burger text to burgers, and then how many burgers in stocks. Buns text to buns in stock, and then money text to how much money you have. Here we have the close button function. So if the phone tab is just in the home, then it shifts the camera back, so it's pretty much just like pressing the P key. But if it's not on the home, if it's either in the inventory screen or the shop screen, then it just turns those screens off, turns the buttons on, and sets the tab to home. And then here we have the two functions for the shop. We have buy burgers and buy buns, pretty much doing the same thing. If money is greater than 13, which is the price for 10 burgers, then subtracts 13 from your money, adds 10 burgers to stock, and updates the inventory. Same thing for buns. $5 adds 10 buns, updates the inventory. Here's the table inventory script. It's pretty much the same as the number store. It just keeps one variable the same across different objects. And same thing with the tab store script. It just keeps the tab consistent across all the different objects. Now I'm going to be talking about what I plan to do in the future for my game. Right now, this is all my game is so far, pretty simple. But over the next few days, I want to add sounds, add music. Those are my two biggest things that I want. I want to add actual models for everything, because like you could barely tell this is a fridge, you can't even tell this is a stove. Trash can, I mean, I guess, but this could look a lot nicer. Some of these elements, like this phone screen right here, it's just super basic. I could do a lot more, make this look a lot nicer. When you go into the inventories, it looks alright, but it could look a lot nicer. So that's my main goal. I also plan to add like a time system. I might do that tomorrow, where it's just the time is, I don't know, 2:30 p.m. day, I don't know, 10, whatever. That way with different days, like you can go a whole day without buying any inventory, and then you can just wait till you close to completely restock, change your store how you want to, whatever. Another thing I want to do probably soon after I make the models for everything, I want to add some decoration, some life to the walls, like windows maybe, or a door, picture frames. My friend had a really good idea. I'm going to add the burger from my burger clicker games. I'm going to add that in a picture frame as a little like Easter egg throwback kinda. Going along with the scenery, I want to change this black background. It's alright, but my original idea was to have like kind of an outside, like this is the inside, you're seeing the inside of your shop, but there's stuff outside too. So like there'd be a road with cars, maybe people walking on the sidewalk, other buildings to the side and back, just stuff like that. I need to figure out a name for my game also. That's one of the biggest things that I don't have yet, especially with me wanting to publish this on Steam. I kind of need a name to do that. I want to make a good storyline for my game. This is something I've been thinking about for so long. Like, what storyline could I add to be unique, something different, something interesting? I don't know exactly what it is, but I have ideas here and there. I think I want the store to be either owned by Grandpa or you inherited it from your grandpa, something like that. I will keep you guys updated on what I want the store to be. I might drop some lore inside of some of the videos, who knows? They'll be like secrets for you to find. One of the big things in gameplay I'm gonna add is like little customers that come in, sit down at the tables, order things. They're going to order different burgers. I'm not just going to have it one single burger, whatever. I'm going to have different toppings that they could order. You'll have to buy, manage, stuff like that. And with those customers, my friends have had some good ideas. I'm going to add some like secret hidden Easter eggs with some of the customers. Like they have a small chance to be a specific skin or something like that, like specific hair, clothes, stuff like that. So overall, I think that's everything right now that I have planned. If you have any suggestions at all, put them in the comments here. I always read them. If I like them, I'll add them to my notes to add to the game. This week I plan to make models, finish making the whole UI, add a time system, maybe make a main menu, and maybe make a like settings page to change resolution, volume, stuff like that. I probably won't add music and sounds yet. I want to make those all original, and that takes a lot of time, and I don't really know how to do that in the first place, so I'll keep everyone updated in my videos about that. Thank you for watching my video. Stay tuned in my daily shorts. Thank you.